hate the game. I don't hate the play, I hate the game. From March 1st through April 15th, gold prices soared 15%, silver skyrocketed 23%. Hycroft mining, though, ran up 100%. Was this luck? Was it coincidence? Or did somebody know how to play the game? What's up, players? Tony here. I want to talk to you guys about some puzzle pieces I have been putting together. You might have noticed this S-3 filing that Hycroft Mining dropped on May 10th. A lot of jigsaw puzzle pieces to put together here with this prospectus, and let's address some of the troll comments. Of course, they're saying Hycroft is going to dilute you guys $350 million. What those trolls might not know, because they don't really follow the stock, is Hycroft has had a shelf offering since July of 2021 to dilute shareholders up to $500 million. And in fact, in the most recent update, they had $361 million of that still left. The difference between that $361 million and that $500 million being the ATM that was completed when shares were sold into the market in March of 2022, raising the company $138.6 million. If you have been following any of my videos or commentary on Hycroft over the last couple years, you know that from time to time, I have warned you guys about this massive overhang of dilution that Hycroft had, and that they are probably going to need to raise a lot of money to get into the next phase of mining, build the milling plant. But what really got me curious and thinking and digging here is something that I talked about briefly with you guys in my most recent video in the last week or so, going over Hycroft's most recent quarterly earnings. We talked about this 424B5 prospectus supplement filed on March 19th. Hycroft also talked about it in their 10Q. If you read all of the footnotes, this is a baby shelf update where Hycroft let us know that due to the market cap of the company, they were going to be limited to only selling $15.3 million worth of shares. Instruction IB6 on Form S-3 tells companies that if their market cap is under $75 million, and I want you to remember that number because we're going to be talking about it in this video. If their market cap is under $75 million, they cannot dilute more than 1/3 of their outstanding float. And in my last video, I was kind of puzzling over this, like $15.3 million is clearly not enough for Hycroft, knowing what I know about what they're going to need to spend to get up and running in their next phase of mining. So how are they going to get around that? Go back and watch that last video as I puzzle about that out loud with you guys. As it turns out, I was exactly correct, and we only had to wait 3 days from the filing of their 10Q to the filing of this S3 to find out exactly how they're getting around the baby shelf limitation. To be clear, in this video, I am not alleging that Hycroft did anything wrong. I am marveling at how freaking smart these people are and how well they know the rules compared to how well we know them. And because of that learning that I had through digging into all of this, I wanted to take a minute to explain it to you, because if you are investing in some of these micro cap companies, this might be something that you want to pay attention to in a future investment. The loophole to get around a baby shelf limitation. Some people are upset, some people are happy, some people are trolling investors because we just got this announcement about a $350 million prospectus. But I want to again remind you, Hycroft has always had this $361 million prospectus sitting out there until March, when they had to do the baby shelf limitation update. But things change when they file an updated 10K. When you file an updated 10K, you have to take a new snapshot of your market cap. And companies do have a little bit of discretion on picking the date and the price of what they are using to calculate the market cap. But at some point, they knew it was getting to the point where their market cap was going to be under $75 million. And they knew, I think, that they were heading down the path where they were going to have to file that 424B with the baby shelf limitation notification to investors. And that was also going to put the handcuffs on their ability to raise cash. And they probably were not liking that very much. We kind of saw the puzzle pieces in the last couple quarterly filings where Hycroft sold 265,000 shares in the fourth quarter, and they sold 500,000 shares in the first quarter, the one that just ended in March. And I was kind of wondering out loud, okay, so they sold a little bit of shares. It's not really a big deal. 600,000 raised, 1.2 million raised. That's not a massive amount of dilution, but I also didn't really understand at the time why they were doing that, because they didn't need $600,000. They didn't need $1.2 million. I mean, they had 50, 80, 90 million dollars on the balance sheet. What purpose could this have served? And now we might have uncovered the entire puzzle. Now maybe we can see exactly what was going on here in this well laid out plan that I think possibly they put in place starting months ago. You can see how I have highlighted here in yellow how they have been slowly increasing the outstanding share count since the end of 2023. Increasing it from 20.7 million shares to now 23.09 million shares. And your brokers will reflect this updated outstanding share count over the next couple days. They judiciously increased the share count just enough in combination with the price on April 12th, which they can use because it's in the previous 60 days of $3.86. That got them to a point where they could calculate, and I have it highlighted here in green, a market cap of $79 million. And that was enough to get them back in compliance with that pesky $75 million market cap rule in Instruction IB6 on Form S-3. Again, I want to reiterate, Hycroft did not do anything illegal. Everything that they did is clearly laid out in the SEC rules. It is just amazing to me how little of these rules we actually understand until we take the time to dig into them. But on March 14th, when they filed their 10K, if we look at the share count that I have here, March 13th, it was around 21 million shares. And they are given by the SEC a 60-day look back to pick the best price they can find to multiply times their float. But even with that 60-day look back period where they could pick the best price, really the best one they could get was $2.32, the close on March 13th. But that left them with a problem. That left them in a quandary because the 10K is the date that the SEC requires them to use. It's an annual 10K to measure your market cap. And at $2.32, that was going to give them a market cap of $42 million. Not enough to overcome the baby shelf hurdle of $75 million. So what to do? I mean, the company has $50, $60 million on the balance sheet, but they're burning 10, 11, 12, 14 per quarter to keep the lights on and do expiration. They don't want to be handcuffed by that baby shelf limitation and only have access to 1/3 of their float, $15.338 million. But the 10K date came on March 14th and the updated share count along with it. And with the price they were facing, they were like, oh crap. A couple days later on the 19th, they did have to file that baby shelf prospectus supplement, letting investors know that they are now limited on how much cash they're able to raise. No more $361 million, now only $15.3 million. So now we get into the tinfoil part of the discussion, and you guys please let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. After that baby shelf update notice came out in March, we didn't hear anything for about a month and a half. Then here on April 7th, you see we got this updated 10Q, and in that 10Q we have an updated share count. This is brand new, 23 million shares. And then just a couple days later we get this S-3 filing from the company notifying investors that they are filing a new shelf offering to raise $350 million with an ATM included in that to raise $100 million anytime they want. The thing is, even with this updated share count that we got in the most recent 10Q just a couple days ago, if the price of Hycroft had remained stuck down in this $2 to $2.50 range, they'd be looking at a market cap of around $51 million. Not anywhere close to what they need to clear that $75 million hurdle. But then what happened? The price of gold started creeping up in April, 15%. The price of silver started creeping up 23%. And the price of Hycroft went up 100%. And you guys were asking me, you were asking each other. I was even asking myself, why on a 15% move in gold, a 23% move in silver, would Hycroft possibly be running 100% up in share price? So I'm just wondering, and I'm just asking, do you think someone helped tip the scale with a little bit of extra buy to push that price up into the $3.80 range, where they could get just enough market cap to get out from underneath that baby shelf? You see, once they get over that hurdle of $75 million, that filing that they did back in the middle of March saying that they were limited to $15 million, they get to crumple that up and throw it away. At any point that they exceed $75 million market cap, they are no longer restricted by this rule that limits them to 1/3 of the float, and they don't have to remeasure now their market cap for 1 year until they redo their next 10K. So it was the combination of them increasing the float several million shares over the past several months, plus this massive move up in the price, getting them over 75 million, which enabled them now to refile the new S-3, replacing the old one that had expired, and now they have $350 million to raise again whenever they want. And as part of that, immediately they have announced a $100 million at the market offering with which they can sell shares at any time. We do know, if you've been listening to Hycroft or to the CEO Diane Garrett speak, that they have stated very clearly that one of their strategic objectives is to continue to improve and de-risk the balance sheet. So I think it is safe to assume that investors should be prepared for some additional dilution as they work to pay off some more of that debt on the balance sheet. Because of that risk and the fact that the company is not actively generating any revenue, I do not own any Hycroft. You're free to do whatever you like. Really, the point of this video is not about the fact that they could be diluting. It's about understanding this whole baby shelf process and the loopholes that companies can use to get around it, to basically just toss it out by increasing their share count and increasing the price and thereby increasing the market cap just enough. They only need a day or two to get over $75 million. They can toss that and file a new shelf offering. So I want to know, do you think this was a engineered run-up for Hycroft to move up 100% while gold was only moving up 15% and silver up 23%? No other news on Hycroft, but it ran up 100%. Let me know your thoughts. I know this was a lot to explain. Maybe you have to watch it 2 or 3 times to let it all sink in, but I am curious to hear what you guys think about this. I am Tony Denaro. Thank you for watching, and I will see ya on the next video. Don't hate the play, I hate the game.